Hello, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is Mark Roden, and in today's video, we are going to be doing the good, the bad, and the ugly on the Honda Del Sol. I've been doing a couple more good, bad, and uglies lately, and somebody asked me to do the Del Sol. Sorry about that. I just noticed some crumbs on my screen, so I was getting them off. But somebody asked me to do the Del Sol a very, very long time ago, so I was like, I'll do it again. You know, I'll do it now. I'm crazy like that. Sadly, no song of the day. I usually only do song of the days if it's a top 10, and since this is a good, bad, and ugly, I don't want to do them. But in case you are new here, let me explain how these bids work. First, I go over everything you need to know about the car. That's whether that's years, the engines it came with, transmission, whatever. Everything you need to know about it. Then I go over into the community side of things and what people usually do with them when they modify them. So drifting, street racing, stuff like that. And then I go into the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good is things that are just good about the car. You can't deny they're good. The bad are things that are just like take it or leave it. If you have a problem with it, then it's a problem. If you don't, then it's not a problem. And then the ugly are things that you're going to have to address. And then finally, at the very end, I give you my opinion on whether or not I think you should buy the car, depending on what current situation that you are in. Without further ado, let's go right into the video of the good, the bad, and the ugly on the Honda Del Taco. All right, so before we can get into that, though, partner, hold your horses. Are your horses held? Okay, before we get into that, we need to talk about the car itself. The years made in the generation, it's made between the years of 1993 and 1998. It's the only generation, though. They never came out with like a second Del Sol or anything like that, so it is the only Del Sol ever. Its trim levels are S and SI. I'm talking about the North American market only, by the way. I know in Europe they have different trim levels for this car, but in the North American market, there is the S and the SI. The S came with a 1.5 liter inline four, making, oh my god, did you guys hear that? I just got freaking jump scared by my upstairs parents. But yeah, it came with a 1.5 liter inline four, making 106 horses. And then the SI came with a 1.6 liter inline four, making 160 horses. And it also had VTEC, so that's really cool. The body styles, it is a two-door Targa only. There is not even a two-door coupe. So no matter what, you are getting a two-door Targa. Keep that in mind. Drivetrains, if you want something else, by the way, just get a Civic. It's pretty much the same thing. If you want like a hatchback Del Sol, get an EG Civic hatchback. That's the same. But anyway, drivetrains. It is front-wheel drive only. No all-wheel drive, no rear-wheel drive. Transmissions, it is manual or auto. Don't get the freaking auto, though, unless you want to have to literally like have to spend time reading the Bible every time you shift gears in this car. And the price is obviously they're used, so nowadays you're looking at prices that range from all kinds of numbers, but what I see is usually like 1K to 5K, like around there for a good deal. Obviously if you want one with like only 40,000 miles on it or something, you're paying like upwards of 10K, but yeah, if you're getting like an average, 80,000 mile Del Sol, I would say 1K to 5K. Reliability and gas mileage, though, very reliable. I mean, it's literally just a Civic, but smaller. And its gas mileage is 33 miles per gallon combined, which is incredible. All right, but now let's get into the tuning side of things. What do people do with these cars in the car community, Mark? Well, let me tell you, Jeremy Clarkson, sit down and let me tell you. Drifting. No. Yeah, they just don't do it. I mean, it's a front-wheel drive Honda. What did you expect them to be drifting these cars all the time? I mean, I don't really understand what you got a problem? I will challenge you to a hand of fisticuffs right now, buddy. Rally/off-road, not very often, but I'm sure it's been done before. Definitely not a popular option for it, but it's probably been done once or twice. I wouldn't recommend it, though. Street racing, yes, very often. These are just pocket Civics, pretty much. So obviously people are going to do the same thing that they do to Civics to these. Track racing, definitely the most popular for it. They're a front-wheel drive Miata, pretty much. They handle great. They have a Civic motor in them, meaning, hello, more power. They're just incredible little track cars. And finally, for stance/show cars, whatever, they're definitely seen out there for sure, but not as much as you would expect, to be honest. Like, you would expect to see a lot of Del Sols at car meets. You see a lot of Miatas at car meets and stuff like that, or stance meets or whatever, but not Del Sols. It's kind of weird. You would expect to see a lot more. All right, but now we are getting into the good, the bad, and the ugly. And again, in case you're new here, the way this works is first we're going to go over the good, which are things that are just great about the car, and it's pretty damn hard to argue that it's not good about it. Then we'll get into the bad, which are things that are just kind of up to you whether or not it affects you or not. And then the ugly, which are problems with the car you're going to have to address. But let's start with the good. And first off is it is lightweight as hell. These cars weigh literally the exact same amount of weight as a Miata, and they have, if you have the SI model, they have more power, which is pretty damn good combination right there. Next is they are reliable as hell. They have a freaking Civic motor in them, buddy. How much more reliable do you want? Do you want it to be a freaking Toyota Camry motor? Well, then it's not that fun. Next is the gas mileage is decent. It's definitely not as good as like some new modern cars. Obviously, we have some new Civics, some new Accords and stuff like that they get close to 40 miles per gallon. But 33 is still really good. Everything is cheap for it as well. So if anything ever breaks on this car, it's gonna cost nothing. I have an Integra, DC4 Integra, and every time something breaks or I have to buy something on that car, it is so cheap. I bought an O2 sensor for freaking $70. My O2 sensor for my 350Z was $120. I was mind blown at how cheap it was. Next is the car itself is cheap. Not just the parts, but the car buying it is really cheap. Next up is it grips like crazy. It's an absolute canyon carver. If you love that cutting, hill climb, time attack type of stuff, and you like cruising through the back roads with your buddies as fast as you possibly can, and maybe even timing yourself, whatever, if you like that kind of stuff, this is definitely an option that I would look into. Next is the aftermarket support is huge since it is a damn Honda. Every Honda under the sun has like aftermarket parts lining up to be bought for it. I'm sorry about that. But next up is the Honda community is amazing. Trust me, they do nothing but want to help you. I have a friend named Damien who has an Integra just like mine, and the other day I was like, I needed my wheel lock so I could take off my wheels. He just gave me one. And he was like, oh yeah, come over and take it from me. And I took it from him. I was like, do you want this back? When do you want this back? He's like, oh, I don't need it, it's fine. I was like, thanks, man. They're awesome. They're awesome. All they care about is seeing other Hondas be really cool, and I like that about them. And finally, for the good, is they will only go up in price, meaning that it's a pretty damn good investment. It's an old JDM car from the 90s that look cool and are sports cars, and they have good motors in them. They're going to go up in price. But now we are into the bad, which again are things that are just kind of like take it or leave it. If it affects you, then that's a problem. If it doesn't, then it's not a problem. And I always like to start with this, so the sound. I always put this one here because sound is completely subjective. You know, it's always up to you whether or not if you think it sounds good or not. So here's a clip of it revving. Next is the space. It's a very small car. It's smaller than a Miata, I would even say. Maybe. I don't know. Is it? I don't know. Probably pretty damn close. So if you're like over 6 feet tall, it's going to be pretty tough to fit in there. On top of that, I don't just mean for like your head space. I also mean like if you want to carry things around. Not a lot of trunk space either. Just keep that in mind. Next is it's front wheel drive only. Again, it kind of depends on who you are. If you like front wheel drive, rear wheel drive, all wheel drive, I don't know. Next is the cup holders are pretty damn small. I mean, it's a Del Sol. What did you expect them to be able to put a friggin' big gulp in there? No, you can barely fit a tummy yummy in there, okay? Next is the looks. Some things it looks too girly, some things it looks cute. I think it looks pretty cool. Like, I don't think it's beautiful. I don't think it's like the most beautiful car ever built, but I definitely don't think it's girly or ugly or anything like that. But yeah, that again, that's subjective, so that's why I put it in the bad tier. Next is so many of them have been beaten up and are a very sketchy purchase for sure. Now, the reason why I put this in bad and not ugly is because it just depends on which one you find. I mean, if you find one that's sketchy, then it's sketchy. If you don't, then it's not. It's kind of like hard to really put that anywhere. Next is the engine mounts go very easily. My Integra did this too. The engine mounts in these cars for some reason just break. It's probably just because of old age at this point, to be honest, but yeah, they do that. They're not expensive and they're really easy to fix, but just wanted to put that out there. And next is the evap and the condenser may leak. Again, definitely a problem if they do, but it's not like guaranteed to happen. And again, it's probably just because of old age. And once they do leak, the condenser is not hard to replace. The evap is not hard to replace. It's a pretty simple fix. And finally, for the bad is the visibility. It's a very small car and the windows are even smaller. Keep that in freaking mind. People do not understand the whole visibility thing. Like, people, oh my god, I can't. Just keep it in mind, okay? If you're like new to driving, I would recommend getting a car with a lot of visibility. But now we are into the ugly, which are problems with the car that you're going to have to address or at least think about before buying it. And first up is the automatic transmission is absolutely useless. It is a 90s Honda. Why are you even buying it with an automatic transmission in the first place? Makes absolutely no sense. But if you are, don't. And if you do, swap it as fast as you can. It's a death trap waiting to happen. It's slow, it's unreliable, it's going to give you even more problems with wiring. There's just no point in having an automatic over the manual. Next is the roof the targa top part of the roof, it leaks a lot. This could obviously ruin quite a bit if you're not careful. If you don't notice it right away and you don't fix it right away and get it all sealed up, then having a leaking roof is probably a pretty big concern in a vehicle, you know? I mean, unless you're Aquaman, then it's actually a good thing. And finally, for the ugly, is the AC barely works on these cars, and if it does work, then it's only a matter of time until it doesn't again. This is most likely just due to old age and kind of unfair to put on the car itself, because almost every 90s car that's been beaten up at this point is going to have no AC. But since some people do tend to watch these videos as kind of like a buyer's guide type of thing, I thought I should mention it. AC matters for a lot of people. I personally have never really cared about it. I've never had AC in my PT Cruiser or my 350Z. But yeah, if you really care about AC, they're probably not going to have it. But now let's go over my final thoughts, and depending on the certain situation you're in, whether or not I think you should get the car. Well, as a daily driver, not bad, I guess, but in my opinion, there's a ton of better options for you. If you don't care about cars at all and you literally just want a daily driver, don't buy a Honda Del Sol. It really makes absolutely no sense. I wouldn't even buy like a Civic if I was you. I'd buy like a freaking Jeep Cherokee or something. I don't know, something that's just like a big SUV, crossover SUV type of thing that's going to be reliable. A Toyota. My mom has a RAV4. Buy a Toyota RAV4. That's a great daily driver. Something like that. You know, not a freaking Del Sol. Next, for a car guy though, if you are a car guy and you're looking for a daily driver, if you're short and you don't mind not being able to like drive your friends around, then sure, it's not a bad option at all. Or maybe if you also have like a pickup truck or a sedan or an SUV as like a backup kind of car for hauling things, then yeah, it's a good daily there too. It's just the problem is the space. That's really it. Next is a Sunday cruiser. It's not a bad option to use this car as a Sunday cruiser, but due to its reliability being absolutely amazing, I find it kind of silly to only bring a Honda out once a week. You bought a Honda, bro. Your car can last miles. Have fun every day of the week. Why are you only having fun on Sundays? And lastly is for guys that are looking for a race car / a project car. This is perfect for it. One of the best options for people who are truly on a budget, in my opinion. These things are not only cheaper than most popular Hondas like the EG, the EKs, the DC4 Integras, but they're also lighter and handle better from the get-go with pretty much the exact same engine as those cars. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure they have the exact same engines as the EG Civic. So it literally has the same engine, but it's significantly cheaper and handles better and is lighter weight. It really is an amazing option for like a project car nowadays. But ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more content just like this. If you enjoyed, let me know what other good, bad, and uglies that you'd like to see in the comment section down below. If my voice sounds a little raspy today, it's because I've been filming videos for the past 2 hours and 50 minutes. I know, I've been filming for all day. I'm going crazy in the stew today, boys. So yeah, just if my voice sounds a little raspy, it's I've been using it. You know, it's got on a workout today. My vocal cords are going to be like lifting 315 pounds and posting it on their Snapchat story and stuff. It's going to be crazy. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. Das Vidania, and have a nice night.